Hi, everybody. My name's Carmella. It's so nice to meet you all. I'm so excited to be here on Women Entrepreneurs Global's platform to talk today about digital marketing and Google tools. So, a little bit of background about myself. I work at Google on their Google Ads team. So, I work a lot with companies on reaching their digital marketing goals with Google Ads, including search, display, and YouTube. I oftentimes work with a lot of B2B and B2C companies, specifically around lead generation. And on the side, I really enjoy working with startups. So I help out with the Google Accelerator team, mentoring a lot of startups on their digital advertising strategies. Outside of that, from San Francisco and coming to you live from there. And also outside of work, I tend to enjoy working with startups at my alma mater's Impact Accelerator. So we'll dive right into it. Our first module today will be on digital marketing holistically and the difference between a couple of different strategies, so brand marketing and performance marketing. So if we're thinking about digital marketing as a whole, the ideal goal is to try to get people to become aware of your product, to become interested in that, and then ultimately become lifelong buyers. You want to think about the marketing funnel as a whole. So at the top, you're going to have a build awareness phase. So this is going to be the widest group of people that you would market to. And in this area, you would try to make sure that people that aren't aware of your product, but could be somewhat interested, are becoming aware of your product, business, or service, and then they know it exists. From there, with the same audience group that you're building awareness from, you want to eventually get them to be influenced in terms of considering your product over other competitors or brands. You want to help people understand why your product is important, what need it fills, and how it might be better than some of the competitors. From there, you want to encourage people to take an action. So whether it's buying on your site, or it's signing up or giving you a call or entering your store, you want people to take an action that will ultimately help them become customers to you. And then lastly, if we're talking about real specifics here, for the people that you've encouraged to drive action, you want them to become loyal customers. So if people become repeat purchasers, or let's say they're a B2B company that ends up buying multiple different products that you offer or being upsold, this can help your returns of your business. And also people can help to advocate for your business. So by word of mouth, you can continue to get more customers in the door. So the whole marketing funnel can be approached with a couple of different strategies in terms of digital marketing. So the first that I wanted to cover off on is brand storytelling, which can reach the top part, which is like kind of the build awareness and the influence consideration phase. And then there's also performance marketing, which is more around the bottom of the funnel, as we like to call it. So in terms of brand, the goal of this is kind of to generate mass awareness and reach people across your target audience at scale. So if you think about this, the most traditional way of brand storytelling is through a billboard on the highway. So you have a lot of people that are seeing your advertisement or your message, and some of them may come back to you later and think, oh my goodness, this is really interesting. I have to check them out. We're a little bit more specific with the tools that we can use online. So instead of having to just pray that anyone that drives on the freeway sees you and thinks that you're relevant, we actually have some ways to narrow down your audience. So for example, you have the ability to reach people based off of the demographics that they're in, the location that they're in, perhaps things like socioeconomics or broader long-term interests. So you have the ability to create a larger target audience. And then your goal is to try to continue to message the same broad audience on multiple different channels, ultimately to try to get them to come to your site later. So in terms of this, you could use different channels like social media. You could use channels like Google upper funnel products like display or YouTube. There's a wide variety of different things that you can do here. And then the goals, or as we like to call them, key performance indicators, would be things like reach. So the amount of people within your target audience that you're able to show an advertisement to, the frequency. So the amount of times that you're able to show somebody that's in your target audience one of your advertisements. Oftentimes, it's better to have this number be more than one, just because if someone sees your ad once, they might not always recall it. The amount of viewers that ultimately come to your site as a result of seeing your advertisement, and the impressions. So this is the amount of ads that are served across your platform that you're running to people that might be within your target audience. If we think about this on the flip side, to try to reach people more at the bottom of the funnel, there's what we call performance marketing. So performance marketing is more so around trying to drive people that are already somewhat interested in your product in order to take a revenue generating action on your site or potentially come in through the door. So the goal here is to generate conversions at a cost per acquisition that is profitable to you, where conversions can be any action such as people filling out a lead form or people calling you for a demo, people buying online, or people tending to come into the stores and buy. Then you're also measuring key performance indicators like the cost per acquisition. So how much are you paying across different channels in order to get someone to take this action? Your return on ad spend or your return on investment. So if you're generating a profit by doing this. And then lastly, the conversion rate. So for anyone that's coming into your website, out of 100, how many of those individuals is actually ends up buying from you? And the goal of performance marketing is to grow revenue by acquiring more of your most qualified and ready customers. So we like to call this the low-hanging fruit. You might gravitate towards one of these marketing channels more so than the other based on your goals. So I would encourage you to think about whether you're more focused right now around building awareness for a product that might fill a need, or more so trying to get conversions or trying to get sales coming in from the bottom of the funnel from people that are already aware of your product. So in terms of brand storytelling, I wanted to focus a little bit around this first, just because it's helpful to have a few tips and tricks in order to make sure that your story resonates with the customers that you're trying to reach. Right now, especially during uncertain times, we oftentimes think about how to acknowledge human trends and then make sure that you have a message that resonates with people or makes people feel like their needs are being met. So in particular, in times of uncertainty, you often want to think about what your messaging to consumers is, because you want to think about who you are for the consumer, what your function is, and what's your emotional role that you play in their daily lives, what exactly your product is doing that supports this, what are the actions that you are taking or have taken in the past that kind of defines your brand, or things that you can show consumers that you care, and how are you going about doing it? So what's the first emotion that you want to evoke in people, and how can you show consumers that? We say oftentimes that it's really important to be authentic when you're doing this. The worst possible thing is to try to masquerade as something that you are not. So just think about this a little bit, trying to think about the emotions that you invoke in consumers and echo that. And then it's also important during times that might be a little bit more turbulent to think a little bit about what role you're playing to consumers in their daily lives. So if you're an absolutely essential company, then it's okay to talk about that. Talk directly to consumers about what you're doing and what you can provide that helps. But let's say that you might not be as relevant right now. You might have a more indirect focus in terms of the product that you sell, or you might be something that's a little bit more aspirational. In that case, you can take a lens of acting more for the consumer. So telling them about what you're doing to help during this time frame, while not necessarily overstating your direct importance. And then from here, you can use this overall message once you've brainstormed it and thought through a little bit about your overall messaging, and use that in both the brand awareness phase as well as continuing to re-echo the same strategy all the way down through your bottom of the funnel messaging as well with performance marketing. This concludes the end of my first talk track, and thank you so much, Women Entrepreneurs Global, for hosting me again. My name's Carmella. Hope you found it helpful.